You mentioned Triple H and The Rock almost becoming figureheads within WWE in real life, but
Yes.
also maybe as a
Yep.
storyline as well. And I think that's a good thing to address. On SmackDown last Friday, he comes out with Adam Pearce and friend of the show, Nick Aldis, in fact. He reasserts his dominance and says that it will be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And he adds, it doesn't matter if certain people in the back don't like that decision. So it almost feels like they're building up to a Rock versus Triple H match, in a sense.
Yes,
Even though Triple H's got a pacemaker, it doesn't look like he's ever going to wrestle again. But could be a feud.
Hey, listen, it's wrestling. And if Triple H loves wrestling, or he wouldn't have got into it. Because he got into it and he wasn't. I remember being on the bus with him on those European tours, and he had just dropped some English kind of gimmick that he had. And then he was the Triple H, and he was with Shawn Michaels. And I mean, he was hot. The clique was hot. So, but now if they take that, all you're taking is the blueprint from Vince McMahon, and even though they're trying to write him out of everything, they're going to redo all his stuff and Steve Austin's stuff. They'll just adjust it along the way. But basically, those were the two figureheads, and that's what you're going to see. The Rock's Army, you can have that, or it's going to be Triple H versus Rock, and then Cody would join Triple H, and then of course the Bloodline will join the Rock, and that's almost a whole card right there. So they're not going to, Triple H, if he does get into the ring, he'll get in on a pay-per-view. And even though he's told not to, I've seen guys do it. So let's see what it brings. This is the only time that I can remember, other than the stuff I did and the stuff that Steve Austin did, that I'm really interested in what they do. Because I have never been really a wrestling fan per se, but I am now. And I sit back and just the little things they do, like he says, it don't matter what you think. Well, you don't have to go very far to know that he sent that to The Rock. And like The Rock said, where do I sit at the table? Do I sit at the head of the table or the side of the table? People knew who he was sending that to. So you can read, and that's what wrestling does. It sends these little mental messages that you don't have to be a genius to get, and you know who he's sending it to. And I'm now a big fan. I'd like to say I'm a fan of AEW, but I can't. I don't mean to kind of shift gears here, but AEW, I can't follow anything they do. I don't know why they're doing it. But WWE, it's like written for me. I'm like a 10-year-old. It's written for me, and I can follow it.
We're going to be bringing up AEW probably at the end of the podcast, in fact. But on a separate note with Triple H, a fan called Sabrina wrote, so we don't normally do the fan questions on this episode, but as I say, we got over 100 questions in a week, which is probably a record for us. Anyway, so I'm going to reference it here. Hi, guys. I've noticed that WWE has changed Triple H to now Paul Triple H Levesque on screen, and even addressing him in an interview as Paul. They seem to have dropped Hunter. I find it weird that, so what does Triple H stand for now?
I have no idea.
PL.
I don't know what that stands for.
Would you just drop the Triple H thing at this point, or is there too much cachet in that name?
You can't drop it because they went through 20 years of Triple H. Can't just drop it. I mean, you could, but that brings more attention to it. I'm going to call down there and ask them why they did it. I'm gonna say there's got to be a reason that you guys dropped Triple H. What are they calling him now?
That's what they're calling him, Paul Triple H Levesque. They actually had on the little tag at the bottom when he made his entrance on SmackDown on Friday. That's what it said, Paul Triple H Levesque.
Now his last name is spelled Laves Q-U-E. Is that it?
Yeah.
And it's Levesque.
Yeah.
It doesn't even sound right.
That's French.
I mean, the way it's written, I would call it Levesque.
Yeah. I always looked at it as Levesque. But no, it's
that's
it's
a good
French
name. Levesque.
Yeah.
Paul Levesque. Levesque.